Hi, it's Jared from Strongroots Farm. We're back with the third part of our series on building proper farm fence. So far, part one was the vast overview. Part two was setting our corner posts. So we set that in concrete. All of those videos are down in our descriptions, and all the further videos in this series will be down there as well if you want to catch all of those. In this video, we're going to go over how we set our line posts. So we'll go over how we drive them. You can probably hear that annoying pounding back there that they're driving them right now. And we're going to go over the spacing. So how do you choose the spacing, differences, up and down hill, what would you do differently? All those things are coming up in today's video. Stick around. Welcome back, thanks for joining us. Okay, we have our corner posts in. If you've watched the other videos, you know that I like to use contractor string. So if you don't know what contractor string is, you can pick this up at any hardware store, but it's basically elastic, usually neon green or orange string. I like this because it's very elastic. You can use the bottom rung barbed wire or the high tensile wire. I've seen guys do that because they put it up, they stretch it tight, and then it's already there for them. They don't have to install it later. I prefer the contractor string because it's easier for my kids to move it out of the way if they need to with their foot, dig whatever they're gonna do, and then let it bounce back. It has a lot of elasticity to it. It does go up and down much easier than the bottom rung wire. It's just more flexible and it's cheap. So that's the reason we use that. The way we install it is we have a string that's gonna go against our post, right? And I don't know if how well you can see that. I like to leave a 1/4 inch gap between that string and the post at all times. That way no post is affecting the next post. It doesn't push against the string itself. We have a corner post we have wrapped around our corner post. So around this way, and we put a nail in here with a knot and a string. That way the string is straight off of the side of the fence that we're gonna put our wire or our woven wire, high tensile, whatever we're putting up. That string is on that side of the post. Now that we have our string in, this gap here is a gate. If you watched that previous video, we got a gate hole there. We'll install that gate once all of the wire is in. And we're gonna come away from our first corner post, which is what we installed, 6 to 8 feet, depending on how long your H brace is gonna be. We like to be between 6 and 7 feet. So I've got a 7-foot space there. Okay, that's where I'm gonna build the H brace in the next video. And then we start our measurements on spacing. Now this run of fence has thrown me a loop in my typical process here because of the survey stakes. So if you watch the other video, we put the survey stakes in with steel. You can see that white PVC pipe right there next to that fence post. That marks the old survey. Talked about it's not legal, whatever. It's just a good communication between me and my neighbor. Keeps us good friends, good fence, straight fence, and on the property line makes good neighbors. The curveball for me is that to build this relationship with him, we've put a post next to that stake. We'll paint a little white line around the top of that post. That way if grass grows up tall, he knows where that post is at and it helps him. He's not requiring it, he's not being mean about it, so I don't want to say anything negative about him. I really like my neighbor. We're just doing that. Well, what that has done is that survey has now changed my spacing. So basically I'm going from corner post to the first survey stake, then from the first survey stake to the second one, then from the second one to the end post with my spacings because I wanted a post next to that survey stake. This isn't your situation, it's not a big deal. You're just gonna start marking out your spacing from one end to the next. So now the question, and this is the main thing about driving line posts. It's pretty simple. You mark them out and you just start putting them in. You repeat this process over and over on a windy day like today. The main question is spacing. So what is your spacing of wood posts versus T-posts or timeless fence posts, whatever you decide to do. And it's a lot of your own opinion here. A lot of people have different opinions. A lot of people, depending on what material you're using, choose different spacing. So I'm just gonna go over some different options for you. So first off, behind me, we have a fence that's woven wire that has a wood post every 12 feet. This was built by the government. This is stupid, okay? I would never build another fence like this. If you like this look, if this is what you want, it will hold animals in well. It is a very well-built fence, but to me, it's overkill on the strength and it's gonna cost you a lot of money in the long run. It's a very expensive fence to make it look like this. But perhaps around your house, your front yard, you want to put a fence in with a wood post every 8 foot like this so that you can put your board fence. If you want a Kentucky board fence over front of it, I know that makes people's property look nice. That's all on your own opinion. That is not going to change the strength of the fence. Okay, so let's go into what I do and give you some helpful things with this. So in my beginning farming years, I had a measuring tape and I measured this out. I took 100-foot tape and put a fence post every 8, 10 foot, whatever the spacing was going to end up being. And I marked it perfect and I was particular about it. And it really didn't build better fence. It just took me a lot longer to do it. So today I use paces, my steps. And so I figure my step, which I'm a 6'4", and I take a long step when I'm counting steps, is about 3 feet. So between each post, it's 4 steps for me. Okay, so that's how I do it. I simply start at my corner, I step it off, I mark it with paint or dig a hole or however we're gonna mark it in the ground, and then I go to the next one and the next one and the next one, and I mark every one out. Choosing what I do as far as how many metal posts between wood posts or timeless posts between wood posts or H braces has a lot to do with reading the land. So the land will sometime dictate what we do. So for instance, it's going to be kind of hard to see here, but as you look down at that white shed, which is where our fence is right here, the ground tapers off, right? It makes a drastic incline or decline from flat ground down to a waterway. I would put an H brace there, right there at that electrical thing, which is, well, geez, my finger, right there. So we're gonna go the spacing to that point and then change our spacing in our fences going downhill. But let's just talk about flat spacing here. What do I recommend? No matter what material we're using, I do 12 foot between. That's just my standard between, unless I'm gonna put up board fence. The strongest spot, so from this post here to this post here, you can see is 3 spaces, 36 feet. So we have a wood post every 36 feet with 2 metal between. If you're building a very strong area, that's kind of my standard. So the area where you're gonna train them to electric fence, your release area around your barns, perhaps your winter area, that's kind of my standard. A wood post every 36 with 2 metal between. Now my typical spacing on a typical open pasture fence or a perimeter line fence for woven wire is the 48 feet. 48 feet between my wood post with 3 metal T-posts in between. That is a very strong fence. You can go further than that. If you're in the woods where you're rarely at, perhaps silvopastures, and it's a very rare spot, it's just a property line, you could go 5, 6 T-posts in between if you wanted to. But my standard, especially for woven wire, is 48 feet with 3 metal T-posts in between. But there are places on my farm that I go further. So we talked about the woods, and a section of woods that's really hard to get maybe the post driver in with the tractor or whatever you're driving your post with. Maybe you want to go further with T-post, and cattle are rarely there, a super steep hill, whatever it would be. As long as you can connect it strong, I think that's fine. I would not go ever more than 6 spaces, 6 metal T-posts. I'd dig them by hand on that hillside if I had to with my wood posts. Woven wire though, it needs a lot of posts, right? Woven wire has to be nailed in to stay tight. The T-posts don't necessarily hold tension a lot. So if you're putting in woven wire, you might want to think about 4 T-posts as being your max. Now this area that we're putting in, that you see, it's only 50 feet across here maybe. This is just an alleyway that we use to run cattle. So it's an extra precaution, it's extra safety on our farm. If they happen to get out of fence, there's this extra fence to keep them from going to the road, but it's just an alleyway. We're really not having cattle pressure on it. So today we are probably gonna go 4 metal T-posts as our standard between each wood post. We have a section here because of those stake markers that we're only gonna have 2. So that was my choice. Do I want 5 at the very beginning T-posts, or do I want 2 metal, then a wood, then 2 metal, then a wood, because of that weird spacing that we had due to the survey stakes? So to cap that all in for you, there's a lot of talking there. Woven wire, 48 foot is probably the furthest I go between wood. A good strong fence, 36 feet between wood fence on woven wire. High tensile fence, my standard is 48. Sometimes I will go, and that's with your 3 metal. Sometimes I will go 4, which is what we're gonna do on this because there's very little pressure. With that being said though, my high tensile fence always has electric. So there's an electric bumper wire there. That electric keeps cattle from rubbing up against it. If you're gonna do high tensile or barbed wire strands and you're not gonna have them electrified, I would use the same standard as my woven wire. 36 feet of my wood with 2 metal in between. I hope that all makes sense to you on the spacing there. All right, it's gonna be a little loud for this section, but earlier I talked about not using a level, just using your eyeball. So we've got our string at the bottom to know where the base of our post is gonna be, but we're gonna step back and look at these as we're driving them. Are they tilted forward or left or right? Are they tilted backwards or forwards? With our eyeball, we're not using a level. I don't know why, it doesn't work. So this plays with my engineering brain, it plays with my carpentry framing brain. I'm using a level for everything for accuracy in those instances. But these posts aren't perfectly around, they're not perfectly smooth, we're not using square lumber. So I have built long fence with levels and they look like a snake. The posts just go back and forth and in and out like that. When I use my eyeball, they look straight as an arrow. So I may use my level on my corners, but from there, I'm eyeballing this and making it look straight and my fence is tighter and looks better. Just trust me, that's the way I do it and it's weird. So that is the basics of driving your line posts. So I want to talk about a few kind of changes, things that you want to do. If you're going downhill, so if we've got a hill here, you want your post to lean a hair bit uphill because as the ground shifts, it will naturally go down that way. So I tend to just a smidge, just barely off, not even the distance of the whole width of the post, lean them uphill a hair. I tend not to put gates on hills. I try to find the flattest place. If it's necessary that your gate is on a hill when you're driving your line post, you have to go through a gate there, you're gonna want the hinge side on the uphill side. Okay, so just some pointers. Today, we did not spear any of our posts when we were driving. So if we're using a driver and not digging every hole, some people will take a chainsaw and cut them to a point at the bottom that they're gonna drive in. We don't do that. We do the starter hole like you saw because this ground is pretty soft. It's springtime, there's quite a bit of water. And actually when the ground is a little bit wet is a really nice time to drive posts. If you wait till it's completely dry and hard, fence posts are kind of hard to drive in our soil, right? We have very clay soils, not a lot of topsoil over here because big ag's farming over here. Soil gets washed away. But this was all that tree line and it's pretty nasty and there was a lot of excavating that gone on. So in places it's soft and it's a good time to do it now. We don't spear our posts though, we just drive them in flat. Last thing is the height. How do you determine the height? So first off, I recommend you have some kind of a measuring device. Cut a stick to the height that you want and check them like that. We simply use the shovel. We have a mark on we put the shovel up there because we're using the shovel and that's what we use as our high stick. That's kind of up to you on how high you want to go. So just so you're aware though, if you measure your fence, let's say you have a 40-inch woven wire fence like this, you want a barbed wire strand 6 inches above it, okay? You add that in, and I think you should be 2 to 3 inches off the ground with your woven wire. So that'll give you your height, and then you want a couple 2 to 3 inches above that barbed wire of the post sticking up like this. So you've got, this is not 6 inches, they drove them too low, but let's go 4, 6 inches here, whatever your gap's gonna be, and then you want a couple inches above to give you a good meaty place to put that staple if you're putting barbed wire in. If you put your fence directly on the ground, when you're talking woven wire, like this is, grass will grow up and eventually the bottom will rotten off. So my theory is, whatever the spacing of the bottom hole, so there's a 4-inch spacing from the very bottom piece of the wire to the first wire. So any animal that could go through that, that's how high I leave it off the ground because then they can go under. They're gonna go through the hole anyways, whatever I'm preventing. That keeps my fence off the ground. It allows me to weed eat and not have my weeder in the fence. And it also keeps it from rusting a little bit. Now, there are people that would say if you leave it up that high, that coyotes and neighborhood dogs can dig under easier. That is true. A rifle solves a lot of those problems. This video was a little annoying with the pounding, but you can kind of see we're working at it, we're getting it. We've got 4 more to do in this 600 and some feet section, and our wood posts will all be in. Then we're gonna do our H braces, and then we'll start stringing wires. Stick around for those videos. Appreciate everybody watching. Until next time.